Welcome back. With COVID vaccinations now underway in Canada and many people waiting anxiously for their turn, our inboxes have been filling up with your questions, and to answer a few of those, let's bring in infectious disease specialist Dr. Suman Chakrabarty. And our first question today comes from Mark Morgan in Calgary.
My question is, will this vaccine protect us from mutations of this virus, such as the new variant of COVID seen throughout England?
Dr. Chakrabarty?
Yeah, so the answer is probably. We don't know a lot about this variant yet, and there's a possibility that in the future it could cause enough changes in the virus that the vaccine has to be altered somewhat, similar to what we see in influenza. But I don't think it's going to make a huge change in terms of what we do with the current vaccination. I do still think this vaccine will allow the pandemic to end, and this might be something that we have to change from year to year, like I said, similar to influenza.
And as we heard from your colleague, Dr. Bogosh, earlier, still so many questions about what this variant really is. So still a lot more study to be done. Let's go to our next video question. This is from Barbara McEwen. She is in Edmonton.
My question concerns the phase 2 rollout of the vaccine. Shouldn't this next phase include vaccination of seniors of any age who may not live in a congregate care facility but are at high risk of severe disease or even death due to underlying medical issues?
So, Dr. Chakrabarty, the rules are, I'm sure, slightly different in different places across the country, but kind of as a general proposition, do you think that seniors who aren't in long-term care homes should be the next group to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. This is a very, very good point, as we do see that age is a very large risk factor for having severe disease, especially over the age of about 60. When these second and third phases go out, I do expect there to be some more details available, and I do think that the older individuals over the age of 60 will certainly be made a priority group. How that exactly rolls out will depend on the vaccine supply and how things are going, but I do think that will be one of the tenets of the subsequent phases.
And our next question is from Silvana, who asks, how do we know that in the future this vaccine does not cause some adverse reaction, say, in 10 years? What assurances are there that this vaccine is safe, and not just safe now? Dr. Chakrabarty?
It's a very big question a lot of people are asking. We don't have that data yet. But that said, when you look at vaccines, for the most part, the really serious side effects tend to come up in the first couple of months during the study. But that said, it's still very important to do post-marketing surveillance for other types of side effects. Putting this into perspective, though, nothing is without risk, and certainly getting COVID itself can give you some long-term effects, heart damage, strokes, and even long-haul symptoms. So I think any small risk of long-term effects is greatly outweighed of long-term effects that can happen from COVID itself, and I think overall the vaccine is quite safe. When it's my turn, I'll definitely be getting it.
And we have just 30 seconds, but let me quickly ask you one question I asked Dr. Bogosh earlier on, and that is, when you hear this news about the variant, as an infectious disease doctor, how concerned are you?
This is something that happens quite a bit with different types of viruses. We see these mutations happening. It's difficult to know. For the most part, they don't tend to have any big consequences, but they occasionally can. It's just important to keep track of this. And once we know more data, then we can react accordingly. But right now, the answer is I'm not totally sure, but it's important to keep an eye on it.
All right. Dr. Chakrabarty, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thanks for having me.
And as